We still need to hear from Sam.
Yes, no, I'm just waiting for YouTube to start up.
Thank you, Sam. And Anita, I see you're back in the room as well, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Just always want to make sure you have audio.
And I apologize. I was reminding my son to join his music class. Is Sam ready to go, or are we waiting on Sam?
No, we're ready to go, except what was happening before with Facebook is it was showing it was live on my end, but it wasn't broadcasting. So I'm just checking, I'm checking a couple sources to make sure it's live.
Okay. And I also saw that Director De Leon is also back with us.
Okay, I think we're ready.
All right, perfect. Thank you, everybody. Welcome back. And we are going to move on in our agenda to item 6.6, consideration and presentation of the Lake County Quagga Mussel Prevention Program update. Director De Leon. Oh, you can't talk. There you are.
There you go. Thank you, Jake. Good afternoon. Scott De Leon. I'm pleased this afternoon to introduce Angela De Palma Dow. She's our invasive species program coordinator, and she's going to be making the presentation today about our Quagga Mussel program. In my opinion, this is a top priority program for our department, and Angela has been doing a great job of advancing the program through the use of grant funds, and she's going to talk about that today in her presentation. And so I will turn everything over to her, and thank you again.
All right, thank you for the introduction, Scott. I am sharing my screen. Can you guys all see that?
We can see it just fine, thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm going to present, and I want to thank you guys so much for letting me have the time this afternoon to present about the very important Lake County Invasive Mussel Prevention Program. And I want to first start off with thanking our project funders and our supporters. So we do get grant funds for this program from the California State Parks Division of Boating and Waterways. And then we have project partners that support us from California Department of Fish and Wildlife, as well as the Pacific States Marine Fisheries Commission. And if anybody has any questions today, we have a lot of resources on our Facebook page at Lake County Water. We have several videos and posts. And then as well as our website for this program is www.nomussels.com. And of course, that's spelled like muscles and not your arm, your bicep muscles. And I also want to take the time to plug a big thank you for our ramp monitors. So they are the meat and potatoes of this program. They are the ones that make it work so well. This is a photos of some of them, but there are a lot more out there, and our season started on March 7th, last Sunday. And so they're out there on the ramps, and they are the reason why this program works so well. And so I just wanted to acknowledge and thank each and every one of them. So this is the outline for today. It is going to be 30 minutes. We're going to go through a lot of information, and that's because I think it's been a while since we updated the board on this program. I think the last year that we brought this program to the board was in 2016. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's about 100% or 80% board turnover since that time. So I think it's about time that we just get all on the same page. We talk about, what the ecology is of mussels, where they came from, the basics of our program, the form, the function, as well as the impacts to our ecology and economy if we get these mussels. And then I'm going to touch a little bit on how we're improving the program, and then what you guys can do to help. And this is both for the public as well as the Board of Supervisors. And I would like to keep questions and answers at the end of this. My presentation will be 30 minutes, and then we'll have about 15 minutes, I believe, in the time for discussion and questions from you guys. Thank you. So we're going to start off with mussel ecology, and we're going to be talking about quagga or zebra mussels, and I will be referring to them as quagga mussels, zebra mussels, or mussels or invasive mussels today. And this is a beach. This is a beach in Michigan, and this is after obviously a large population of zebra mussels have died, and all the shells washed up on the beach. So Part of this program is to prevent Clear Lake shores from looking like this. And they are sharp and they hurt if you walk on them. So let's revisit the definition of an invasive species. And this is US EPA definition. And this is a species that is not native and whose introduction causes or is likely to cause economic or environmental harm or harm to human health. So what this picture is showing here, this is a piece of dam infrastructure off the Colorado River. And you can imagine this is probably in that economic harm category. So these quagga mussels are encrusted on this infrastructure, and it takes a lot of effort to power wash them off with hot water and then actually scraping them. Also, you could argue that this would be a case of environmental harm. So if any of this defouling from these mussels accumulates to the point that that dam infrastructure no longer works, you might see some of that failure there, and that could cause great environmental harm. And so these are the critters we're talking about today. On the left, you have the quagga mussel, and on the right, you have the zebra mussel. They look a little different, but very similar. So if you see anything that looks like that out there, call me right away. Let's go investigate. We don't have anything out there that looks that's native that looks like this. So anything that looks like this at all, just give me a call and I'll come out and check them out. And for a sense of scale, if you look on that photo on the left, you can see those are some quagga mussels encrusting a boat prop that's been sitting in a water body that is infested with mussels. And then here again is a point for ecologic harm, environmental harm, where these mussels have basically colonized this crayfish and suffocated it to death. So we're gonna go through some biology basics here. Each individual mussel can live about 3 to 5 years. And during that time, they make a lot of babies. Not all the babies survive. In fact, they have very low survivability, but they make up for that by having millions and millions and millions of babies. And the juveniles they make are called platonic, or they're free. And there's a photo of it down there on the bottom right. And they're called villagers. So basically the adults are sessile, or they're attached to some substrate. And then they release all the gametes and they make babies, and they can float in the water, and they can then settle and become adults far away from their parents. And they're very small. And to give you an idea, this one right here is about 120 microns or micrometers, and your hair follicles can be between 100 and 180. And then the adults, they attach by these bismal threads, which we have in that photo, and they are very, very strong. Even when they're dead, they're still attached. You got to scrape them off. It takes a lot of energy. And to answer a question we get a lot is these are not a preferred food for any North American fish. All right, these are tiny. They're not made of good, yummy stuff. These aren't the mussels that you think of when you get your, your Thai curry bowl or something like that. And the fish also agree with that. They're not good. They're not a food source for any organisms in North America. And because of their small juveniles characteristics, we have specialized monitoring tools. And so we partner with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. They do the lab analysis for us. And we go out in the lakes and we use this net you can see here on the left. It's called a tow. And so we'll sample these lakes. We sample Clear Lake about 4 times a year, about at 16 different spots. We sample Blue Lakes, and we're gonna start sampling Indian Valley this year as well. And if you're interested in how we do this, we have a video on our Facebook, and we actually do the whole tow process and we talk about what we're doing. Now for the adults, we, because they settle on substrates, like this photo on the bottom right, we have these plates that we put out on infrastructure, like piers, docks, other things, and every month we go out and we check them. So if we have adult mussels in our lake, they're gonna be settled on these plates, and so we'll know that right away. And then I did say that there's no native species that look similar to this, and that is true. However, we have 2 other non-native species out there. So New Zealand mud snail, they're very small. They have this twisted shell. They look very, very snail-like. And those are in the Pewter Creek watershed. And then Asian clams, which we do have in Clear Lake, very clam-like. And they have ridges or striations. They do not have any stripes, however. But these are the things that I get called on the most to go out and check. And we see them on the shores. Well, we see the clams on the shores of Clear Lake throughout the spring and summer sometimes. All right, into our next section. Where do these mussels come from, right? Where do they originate from? So if you look at this aerial image, this is the Black Sea. And if you look along the top up here, this is the Ukraine side, especially this freshwater, this like green area right here. That is where these mussels originate from. And when you look at aerial images of Clear Lake, it looks just like this. It's very similar. So both of these water bodies are cloudy, turbid, they have high pH, they have high calcium, and they have a lot of algae. So if quagga mussels or zebra mussels were introduced into Clear Lake, they would find a very happy home, particularly also with the climate. So if we look at this map on the top left, and I apologize if it's small, you can see the Black Sea in red. And if you were to draw a line across the latitude, straight across to North America, guess what? Perfect situation here for the Great Lakes all the way to Northern California. So, well, how did they get to the US from the Black Sea? Through shipping channels. And so this is a map that shows shipping routes. And if you look at all of the yellow lines, that's shipping routes that are greater than 5,000 times journeys, shipping journeys more than 5,000 times just in one single year. So if we can imagine the Black Sea here, and I've outlined it in black, and then we can imagine all those yellow lines are shipping journeys, there must have been a ship that was in the Black Sea that picked up some water in its ballast tank, made that journey all the way across to North America, and then entered into the Great Lakes from the St. Lawrence Seaway, which I also outlined in black here. And so this is the St. Lawrence Seaway. And if you've never been over there by Niagara Falls in that area, what you have to know is that all the Great Lakes area is higher elevation than, of course, the ocean seaway. But in order to get ships in there, they had to do some real heavy engineering, and they created this complex system of locks and channels. So what happens is ships will go into these locks, and they'll get put into the right elevation so that they can get over all those rapids and places like Niagara Falls. At each time they go through here, they pick up water, they release water from their ballast in order to balance their load. And so you can imagine what happened is if a ship picked up water in the Black Sea with some mussels in it, and then they get to port, let's say Duluth or Chicago, and they release some of that ballast water, out comes some of those invasive species. And that would be zebra mussels, quagga mussels, and there's sea lamprey out there in the Great Lakes right now too that came from the ocean. And then of course we know that places like Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, they are fishermen's paradise. Fishers love to go fishing out there in these Great Lakes. And so what we probably had is we had a boater out there that went fishing, had some water in their boat, and then decided to go westward and go fishing somewhere else. And so that's how mussels got spread across the country. And this is exactly what happened. And so what we have is, if you look at the top left, 1986, we had 2 observations of mussels in Lake Erie. 1990, that's only 4 years later, we see them all over the Great Lakes region. 3 years later, in 1993, we're on the bottom left here, they spread all throughout the Mississippi Basin. And then today we have them in the western area of the United States. They made it over the Rockies. All right, so if you look at this map here, this present day map, and we compare that with this map, this is locations where boaters were first before they came to visit Clear Lake. So when they come into Clear Lake, they have to get a mussel sticker and they have to write on there what water body they were in last. And that's where we got this data from. And it is 2018. I didn't use 2020 data because that was a weird, funky year. And so this is the year where we have the most complete data here. And so when you look at this map, where boats were last before they came to Clear Lake, and compare it with this map, which is all the locations that have quagga or zebra mussels, you can see that there's some areas of overlap, right? So it's very concerning for me as I'm managing this lake and managing this program, and it's really important then that we have this prevention program here on Clear Lake. And this photo is a prime example. So as we move into our next section for our prevention program, this is showing one of the jump offs from one of the larger tournaments going out of our Canocti Vista Casino here. And you can see there's several hundred boats that are ready to start their tournament, and they come from all over the country. And so it's really important that we have this prevention program and we make sure that all of these boats that are coming here from all over are mussel free and they're ready to go. So if you have any questions, this is our website. It's www.nomussels.com, and we have lots of information on here for someone that lives here that just wants to know about our program, or if you're coming from out of county, you want to go fishing, you want to know, where to get a sticker. It's all right here in this website. So for example, maybe you want to read our plan, see how we're doing, or look at our reports. What we do every year, we write a report and we post it on there. You would go to this prevention plans and reports tab. Let's say you have a friend that's coming in to go fishing and they need to get a sticker for their boat. You can go to the screening location tab, and there's a link on there for a sheet that looks like this. And this lists all the places in our county where you can go and you can get a screening, and then you can buy a sticker. And let's say you don't really know if you need to be going to the Oaks or Lakeport, you're not familiar with the area. we also have this map here. So what you can do is, if you know where your like Airbnb is, or where your resort is you're staying, or your friend's house, you know the closest location to get a sticker, you can click on that and it can give you directions right on your phone, and you can go there and get yourself a sticker. Okay, so I was talking a lot about screening and stickers and getting your boats, make sure they're ready to go and launch. I'm just gonna back up a second so we can all be clear on what all these things are. And we're gonna go through a couple of scenarios. We're gonna go through 2 scenarios that actually walk through the process of how we do screenings and how we give stickers to boaters, how we sell stickers to boaters. So here's Bob the boater. He lives in Lucerne. He only launches his boat at the Oaks. Bob goes to a local bait and tackle store to get a quagga mussel sticker. He has to fill out what's called a screening form. And then the screener who is trained, we train all our screeners to look at the form. The screener verifies Bob's boat's resident. So the screener wants to make sure he knows where Bob's boat lives. So they look at the the registration paperwork to make sure that boat is registered here in Lake County. And so the screener looks that over. They ask Bob a few questions. They verify Bob's boat as low risk. So then the screener can sell Bob a resident sticker. This is what it looks like. It's maroon and kind of gold. And then the resident sticker has the year on it. And these stickers are $20 and they're valid for a whole calendar year. And no inspection is needed for this boat because it has not been in quagga mussel waters, right? It's low risk. If it's only in Clear Lake has no quagga mussels, it doesn't need an inspection. Okay, we're gonna compare this with scenario 2. So this is Jet Ski Santa, and he was just in a jet ski competition in Lake Castaic, which is in Los Angeles County. And Lake Castaic is connected to lakes with mussels. All right, so it's on the list of high-risk lakes. Santa goes to a bait and tackle store, fills out a screener form. The screener looks over the information right away. The screener checks its list. Lake Castaic is high risk, so the screener deems that boat or that jet ski high risk. So the screener calls a Water Resources Department inspector, and the inspections are free. An inspector will come out and look at the boat. Now I know this is not a jet ski boat, this is a bass boat, and this is not Santa, but here you can see an inspector is looking this boat over. They're making sure that there's no adult mussels, there's no water, and in general the boat is clean, drain, and dry, and safe to go into Clear Lake and mussel free. So Santa's jet ski passes the boat inspection. There's no adult mussels, there's no water on that vessel. So the inspector then can tell the screener, go ahead, he has a little form, he verifies that boat's good to go. The screener can sell Santa a sticker. All visitor stickers cost $20 and they're good for 1 calendar month. So here you have a sticker that's good for July. Now there's a little bit of overlap month to month, but basically if you're here for 4 weeks and you're in July and then August, you have to go back and get another August sticker. So we know that that sticker is safe. Or if you're here in July, maybe you come back in September, you're gonna have to get that September sticker. All right, so now I just wanna reiterate that the sticker program works, and here is why it works so well. It's confirmation and communication, all right? We all know what a safe mussel-free boat is and which boat is not safe or mussel-free, right? That sticker is a great way to communicate with everybody that can see that boat went through screening and is verified safe to launch in Lake County. Stickers provide money for the economy and for lake protection. So every $20 a sticker, 13 of that goes towards the county to maintain this program. $7 of that sticker sale goes to that screener, that bait and tackle store, that hardware store, or that vendor that's selling that sticker. And I will say that all of our vendors are local businesses. We don't have any chains too. We do not have ramp or launch fees at Clear Lake, all right? We have about 11 or 12 public access points, but we have over 400 access points on the lake. It's very difficult for us to have any sort of ramp or launch fee program. So this is the only way that we can make money to support our program, to support the prevention, mussel prevention program. And the goal is to get these boaters to comply, right? We have to make this process easy. We have to make it fast. They get here, they may drive 5 days to get here, but they want to get on the water right away. They want to start fishing. And then we have to make it affordable, right? So if we make too many hurdles, we make it too complicated, too many forms, we make it too expensive, or we make it take too long, too cumbersome, they're gonna bypass the whole thing and they're gonna go straight in the lake, and that is not what we want. So the big complaint we get a lot is, why am I spending $20 on the sticker? I don't even know what it goes for. So what we did this year with help from Civic Spark intern we have in our office is we made this awesome outreach tool that we're going to distribute to all of our vendors. And what it does is it breaks down what that $20 is actually going towards, right? So out of this $20, we talked about $7 goes towards the local business that's selling that sticker. About $5.80 of that $20 goes towards grant support and match. So yes, we get grants, but we do have to put in some in order to get a lot back. We do have staff that exceed the grant funds we get. So about $4.40 goes towards funding those ramp monitor staff. About $1.80 goes towards outreach, supplies, materials. And then only $1 of that $20 goes towards our overhead, our admin, keeping the lights on, keeping those trucks running, doing the paperwork to make sure that we can keep this program going. All right, so now we're going to go into the next section, which is impacts to ecology and economy if we got mussels introduced into Clear Lake. And then this is basically all about the food web. So when we look at this illustration here, we have phytoplankton. These are green algae, not cyanobacteria, but green algae, fish food here on the right. Those guys are eaten by what's called zooplankton. The zooplankton are the food for our little minnows or our bait fish, think shad, even the hitch, that's what they eat. And then our game fish like bass and crappie, those are eating all those little minnow fish. All right, so this is the food web, and this is why Clear Lake is such a world-class fishing destination, because we have a very healthy food web here. And so this is a close-up of some zebra mussels. They're filter feeding. They're quagga mussels, I apologize. And what they do is they take in that food or that phytoplankton, that green algae, and then they dispel, excrete, dissolved nutrients. And for this series of slides, I'm going to use information that was generated from the Lake Michigan Research, because they've been studying the impacts of mussels on lake food webs since they were introduced into Lake Michigan in the 1990s. And particularly, this is information from Dr. Harvey Bootsma at University of Wisconsin. So each one of these mussels is able to filter 1/2 to 3 liters of water every day, and they're consuming all of that green algae, all that phytoplankton that's in that water. They're basically right now clearing Lake Michigan of the very smallest plants that form the base of the food web. So this is that food for that base, the foundation of the food web, and the mussels are totally eating all of it. And this as a whole then is affecting the entire fishery, because the amount of energy that's available for the fish has been reduced. And what they're seeing is in certain areas, that food is completely gone, or it's being transformed into a different form that's not usable as fish food. And then another thing that we hear a lot is, oh, let's just get mussels and they'll clear up the water and then we'll have great clear water. And that's not necessarily true, particularly when we're talking about cyanobacteria. So research has shown, and they wrote a whole book chapter about it, that mussels do not like cyanobacteria, or what we call blue-green algae. They really dislike it, and they're going to eat everything else first. So actually what they're going to do is they're going to eat all the good fish food, that green algae, and they're going to spit out those microcystis or that cyanobacteria. And what we're going to have is basically more cyanobacteria and less of the valuable green algae or fish food. And so this is what we can expect our system to look like if we get quagga mussels or zebra mussels, and this is called a double whammy. So what you're doing is you are removing that green algae or that phytoplankton from the water column, which might make the water clearer, but what you're gonna get is more dissolved nutrients at the bottom of the lake, and that's gonna then lead to growth of benthic algae. And that's what the bottom of the lake is gonna look like. You're not gonna have those rich plant beds where fish like to be. You're not gonna have that food base out there in the water column for our valuable fishery. So this is really important, because when we look at our lake and our economy, it's all driven by these game fish and fish that are out in the water column. They're not eating food from the bottom of the lake. They're eating those minnow fish and those bait fish that are out there in the water column. So this is that connection between the ecological impacts, if we get mussels, to the economic impacts, and it's why this program is so very important. So Lake County relies on more than $1 million just in annual fishing dollars. So this is resident and non-resident. People come from all over to come here and go fish. When they're fishing for a tournament, or let's say they're coming to fish for a weekend, they sometimes can come for a week. Like if they're coming for a tournament to pre-fish, during that time, they're staying in resorts, they're staying in hotels, they're eating at restaurants, they're going to the grocery store. They're bringing their dollars here to spend in our community, and it's all driven by a healthy fishery. And I'm going to give you some sticker sale numbers now. And so if we lose the sticker program, which is a prevention program, we're going to see the loss of some of these funds. So what we have here is over 5 years, we have both the sticker revenue for private business as well as county business. And I like to show 5 years because if we just looked at any 1 year, right, in our county, there's something crazy going on. We have floods, we got fires, we got a pandemic. So I like to look at these 5-year chunks. And so the blue is our business revenue, the green's the county revenue. And what we can see is over the 5-year period, private businesses brought in $500,000 just from sticker sales for this program. The county brought in almost $1 million. Now that $1 million goes back into our program. We basically break even. So we're spending that $1 million back into support this program. Now let's look at the same data. It's just a little different. We're looking at it a little differently. So this is Mussel sticker sales by type, whether they're residents or they're visitors. And the main thing I want to show you here is when you look at the dark red is the visitor, the resident is the lighter red, is over this 5-year period, visitors brought in $790,000 just for the sticker sales. So these are dollars that are coming from out of county, coming into our county just to buy stickers here. And the average per year is about 150 or so, a little more, 160. Okay, the last graph I'll show you guys. This is the money that we've brought in through our grants. So again, this is a prevention program. And if we get mussels in our lake, we are no longer eligible for this money. The state currently does not have funds for if you get mussels in your lake. They only have funds for preventing mussels from getting into your lake. So what this is showing is, and I have 5-year, but I just realized that it's only 2017 to 2021 because that's when our grant fund periods were. But the main thing I want to show you is that big blue part of that pie chart is $1 million goes to our ramp monitors funding. So we have about 13 to 15 staff for ramp monitors every year. And so that is grant dollars that's coming outside of the county from this grant program going to pay for these ramp monitors. And they live here. They're spending that money here. They have those jobs. They're spending that money here. So I just want to reiterate that it's really important that we keep mussels out of our lake, or else we could see all of these gains will then turn to losses. So there's other costs associated if we get mussels. There's high impacts to drinking water costs. So what this is a study from a water body that has drinking water intakes and has zebra mussels. And so what they did is they categorized all of their costs associated with being able to provide drinking water, even though they're in an infested water body. And the red's a little hard to see if you look at the bottom. So depending on the size of the facility, so if you're pumping 1 million gallons per day, you're looking at about $100,000 a year mean for maintaining your system with mussels. If you're looking at about a 10 million gallon or 11 million gallon million gallons per day system, you're looking about $500,000, $500,000 to just maintain your water, your drinking water treatment when you get mussels. And this information we have from a report done on federal infrastructure in 2018. And so when they looked at the maintenance fees for mitigating mussels on Hoover, Davis, and Parker dams, it was over $6 million just in one single year for, like we saw earlier, that dam infrastructure with all those mussels they had to scrape off. The other things to consider that kind of are priceless, right? There's no pricing associated with them. But mussels in a system can cause smells, bacteria, decay, even when treated. And this requires constant cleaning and treatment for this mitigation. You don't just clean it once or treat it once. It's something you have to do quarterly, monthly, all the time. And that's including those filters, any pipes. Maybe you're adding some additional treatment to kind of combat some of those smell or bacteria. And I would think that this money might be passed down to the consumer. And this is really concerning because we have 17 drinking water systems here on Clear Lake. And they serve over 60% drinking water to the residents here in Lake County. So my question is, if we get mussels, can we afford that? Can our drinking utility water systems purveyors, can they afford that maintenance? Can our consumers afford that? I didn't mean to be gloom and doom. I'm really, let's take a breath. Let's not freak out. It's a lot of information. But we are taking steps to improve this program. And to date, this program has worked. So I just want to go through some of those things right now. We have some goals for the next couple years. So one of them is we really want to go digital with our screener system, right? Right now it's on this honor system. Boaters tell us where they were. We ask them some questions to make sure, their story's straight, and we can figure out, where exactly they were. And if we have any doubts, we call an inspector, we get that boat inspected. But what we really want to do is have these digital systems where we can just put in the boater registration number, and we know exactly where that boat has been. And we've started this process. So we have some tablets already, and we're starting that process for this year to incorporate that in. We want to improve road and ramp signage, right? So we want to get improved signage on our highways, at all our private access points, at all of these resorts, as well as any of our HOA locations. We want to make it very, very difficult for somebody to get in the lake and say, I didn't know I was supposed to get a sticker. That's what we want to avoid. So if we can inundate and have those signage everywhere, we make it very clear that it's against the law to enter our lake without a sticker, without a Lake County sticker. And of course, I'm always looking for more funding for this. The next point is boosting capacity of the program. We are at the capacity for what funds we have. Every year, we ask for a grant of the maximum amount, and every year we get it. We have the sticker fee. We're using all of that sticker money, that revenue that we bring in, and then some. We're actually pulling from the department a little bit. So it's really important that we get more funding. If we want to improve and expand this program, we need more funding sources. We also just have to boost the capacity. We need more monitors. We need more staff to cover more areas. There is one way that we've been able to boost capacity, and that's boost efficiency a little bit with the program. So last year we incorporated some mussel dogs, and we're doing that again this year as well as next year. And so mussel dogs can do a boat inspection in about 30 seconds. And what that does, especially during those really busy holidays, those really busy weekends where we get 50 boats lined up and ready to go out on the ramp, is it frees up a lot of time for those ramp monitors to check boats in, make sure their stickers are valid, answer questions while those mussel dogs are doing those inspections. So we really love mussel dogs, but they are expensive. We have them covered right now in a grant, and I'm going to continue doing that, but it'd be great if we can expand this part of the program as well as other parts of the program. Oh, there's Gil again. He's the mussel sniffing dog. They're super cute. Okay, this is our last section. And this is what you can do to help. And this is geared both for the public as well as to the Board of Supervisors. So some things that you can do as the public is make sure you get your sticker. Make sure your friends get their sticker. Make sure everybody in your family has their stickers on every single boat or jet ski, sailboat. Another thing you can do is just know about the program, be able to explain it to people. So if you're listening today, you learned a lot about the program, right? Go to our website, www.nomussels.com, learn about it, learn what it's about, learn why it's important. Whenever you're at any water body, not just Clear Lake, you want to look at all the signage. You want to be aware of, does this lake have mussels? Does it not have mussels? What other invasives does it have? And then the best thing you can do, and everybody can do, and it's free, is to clean, drain, dry all the time, every time. When you leave any lake, any water body, no matter what it is, it's your bait gear, your fishing gear, it's your tubes, your floaty toys, anything, you make sure it's all clean, drain, dry every time. Now for the Board of Supervisors, some things you can do to help us is, of course, prioritize lake programs and projects. If we have priority on these things, with the support that you can provide for that, it makes it easier for us to then expand and enhance and make a lot of these existing programs work a lot more efficiently and effectively. And you guys are great. You always offer it. You always do letters of support for us. Every grant, you guys have always approved all that, and we really appreciate it. And just in general, boosting capacity. If we have more staff, we can do more. We can think out of the box. If we have more perspectives on things, we can think out of the box and we can get more ideas on how we can improve our programs. And then, of course, making sure every boat has a sticker. I'm hoping after today, no matter where you are, maybe you're getting brunch or walking down by Library Park, if you see a boat go by, you're going to be looking for that sticker. And so these are all things that both the public and the Board of Supervisors can do to help us. So thank you so much for the time today. I'll take any questions now. I do want to reiterate that if you want to look up what we're doing, go to www.nomussels.com. You can always email me if you have questions, or you see a boat without a sticker, you know, you can call Marine Patrol, you can call me. And I also want to say that we are hiring 2 ramp monitors for this season, willing to work up to 25 hours a week. You can go to the HR website at Lake County. We really need some additional monitors for this program. And then, of course, check us out on our Facebook. We have some really cool videos and resources there. You can also direct message us if you have a question or you see a boat without a sticker or something on Facebook, and we can reply pretty quickly. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
I was muted. Thank you very much for your presentation today. Any questions or comments from board members? And let's go ahead and get rid of the presentation. There it is. Thank you so much. Supervisor Scott.
Just thank you for the presentation. And I'll just have to say, I had a chance last year to go down and see the dogs in action. That was pretty impressive. And then they showed me where they actually had a sock where there was a mussel in it, and they hit it on the boat so I could see how the dog would find it. So if anybody has a chance to go see those dogs work, it was neat to watch. So thank you for this, and I definitely support this program, and you know, we need to do everything we possibly can to keep mussels out of our lake.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Pyska.
Thank you for this presentation. I always love learning about this. Do you still have the boat, the demonstration boat with the mussels on it? I had such a good time with my kids checking that out, and I think it came from Lake Mead. So that's a great learning tool for students, and you know, and other places where people are gathering when we can do that. So definitely a supporter of this program, and you know, support your work trying to keep our lake clean.
Thank you. We still have that boat. It's at our partners down in Sonoma or Solano County, and we share it with them, and we've been keeping it it's taking a break because of COVID. It's very tactile, so you know, when this is over, we'll bring it out again. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from board members?
Yeah, Angela, thank you very much for the presentation. As you look at these, you know, I think the sticker program obviously supported to the board. I think it's a great one. But I have a couple of questions. One would be, where exactly, and maybe you went over this in the report and I missed it, where exactly on the boat is the sticker located?
Yes, thank you, Moak, for that question. I did not show that diagram, but the stickers should be located at the bow, which is the front of the boat, on the left and right side, port and starboard, ideally right next to their registration number and their registration sticker. And then they get 3 stickers for every $20. The 3rd sticker goes at the back of the trailer. So we do check, and the way that we check that people are complying is we drive very slowly through parking lots and we look at the back of the trailers, and they're supposed to have their stickers there. If they don't have a sticker visible, we get out, we search the trailer, and then if they don't have it, we give them a warning card, but we come back and we check and we take note. And if they do it again, then they get a citation.
Excellent.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I know our local fishermen, you know, all of our locals are always know what they're looking for. I just want to make sure that you said where those stickers should be and where it should be looking at. If it's somewhere else, and you might have somebody trying to do something that they shouldn't do. So I just wanted you to explain that to our community, because I know all eyes are probably watching. The other question I have about capacity building, and you know, you find this controversial, but I'm going to say it. You know, I think that our rates for our locals should always be lower than our out-of-town guests that we're hosting here. You know, you know, I always think that the folks coming in from out of area should pay a little bit more for their sticker to help with the program to build the capacity. Ultimately, it's capacity building. It allows us to keep everything beautiful for ourselves, but also gives them a great, you know, place to come and fish, some of the best bass fishing in the area. So, you know, I myself as a supervisor would, yeah, I would support 2 different rates. One for out of county, our visitors that help pay to keep our beautiful in-county fishers in place, and our beautiful resource protected a little more. So just throwing it out there.
Any further comments or questions?
Thank you, Angela, for that presentation. I always enjoy your presentations.
Good, thank you.
I will say that right now there probably is a different rate for the fact that one is for only a month and the other one is for the calendar. So it's definitely a different level of cost for those coming in from the outside. But at the same time, most other lakes that you would go to does have a ramp fee, and we don't. And so that's a pricing point that we might be able to look at to see what is the difference between those having to pay a ramp fee versus not, and how does it compare to the Mussel sticker program that we're asking them to follow through with. I know that I'm always nervous about mussels for the fact that are drinking water. I think that's the main reason for me, more so. I mean, recreation has a huge economic impact, but the fact is that people, their sustenance coming from the lake itself for so many of our people, and that's really important that we don't mess up the infrastructure in order to get that water to people's faucets and homes. So that to me is a real important part. I'm open for any further conversation as to how it is that we can enhance the program. I think that we would have, fires would be nothing in comparison to the world of hurt we would have if we had mussels all over our lake. And I think that once they're in a lake, getting rid of them is very, very difficult. So definitely
Hasn't happened yet to date. No one's been able to get rid of mussels once they've been introduced.
Right, and so I think that if there's ever a further conversation to look at how to better fund the program, absolutely open for those types of conversations. Any further comments before we open it up for the public?
Just want to point out how, boy, Scott DeLeon, you have quite a staff in water resources, and how lucky you are. I mean, just the two presentations we've seen today, I mean, you can tell they're passionate about what they do. They know what they're talking about. They can answer their questions, and it's just a breath of fresh air. And just want to congratulate you on this staff. They are absolutely amazing.
I'm going to echo that. I was thinking the same thing during both presentations. You got some amazing women working for you.
I absolutely do. I thank you so much for acknowledging them. They are both amazing, and they are the tip of the iceberg here on water resources. Every staff member here has the same passion and enthusiasm for the work that they do, whether it's groundwater, invasive species, any program that we have folks here that share that same enthusiasm. And yes, they're a treat to be associated with. And it's hard to not have a good day when you come to work and you're surrounded by the people that have such great attitudes and great enthusiasm. But thank you for acknowledging them, because they are very special and extremely valued here.
Thank you. All right, Jake, let's go ahead and open up the Zoom room and see if we have any public comments or questions on the Zebra Quagga Mussel program.
All right, I've sent an unmute request out to the Zoom room floor. If you'd like to make a comment, please unmute and state your first and last name.
Let's start with.
This is Bart Levinson. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation. I heard you on the radio on Sunday saying that surrounding our area, all of the other sport fishing lakes would not be having fishing tournaments, and that only Clear Lake, Lake County, would be hosting fishing tournaments this year. So if I heard that correctly, could you please say a bit more to that to everybody present so that we can understand what to expect for this coming season?
Yes, thank you for that question, Bart. Yeah, so to clarify, her question was asking about fishing tournaments in neighboring lakes or the surrounding area within the region. And at this point, Lake Mendocino is not accessible by boat, so they're not having fishing tournaments. Lake Berryessa is managed by Bureau of Reclamation, and they are not issuing permits right now. I'm sure you remember they had a really bad fire last year. They're still kind of doing some cleanup. They have some ramps open, and they have some activity going on, but they don't want large tournaments there yet at this point in time. That might change later in the season. When I'm looking at my tournament schedule, and this kind of goes to Moog's point about having those visitor stickers be more money, is that we have repetitive tournaments. So we'll have a tournament series, and they're coming to Clear Lake 3 times this year, 4 times this year, when normally they might have gone to another regional water body like Berryessa. Lake Orville is still having some tournaments, but yeah, we're getting a lot of that attention. The other thing about that is we just had a record-breaking fish catch. I don't know if you saw that, but we got a really large crappie that was caught, 4.5 pounds. So people are trying to beat that record. So they're going to be coming from all over to try to get a bigger crappie, as well as our lake, most recently last year being voted the #1 bass fishing lake in the country. And I also think we're going to see increased traffic because people are sick of being at home. They want to get out. They want to go see, what's going on. They want to travel. They feel safer to travel. And so I think we're going to see all of those things combined, and it's going to be a very crazy year. So keep your eyes out for those stickers on boats.
Very much.
Thank you. And I was so glad that Moke Simon asked about where we should look to see the stickers. I'm wondering if you could put something in the local papers so that the public can help you. If we see something, say something.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. I saw Melissa Fulton had her hand up.
Yes, thank you. Melissa Fulton with the Lake County Chamber of Commerce. And back when this entire program started, I was fortunate to be with the group that worked on the program, and it's wonderful to see how the program has evolved. We know how important it is, and I certainly echo the comments of our supervisors in applauding Scott for finding these 2 people. I don't know where you found them, but for Pete's sake, chain them to their desks. Don't let them go, because this is truly what we need. And this program, the importance of this program cannot be overstated by any means. Those of us who've been involved with it for years know how bad it would be if we were ever to get the mussels here. So thank you, and keep up the good work, and we'll see if we can't help you find more money.
I'm sure Director De Leon will translate the chain to your desk to a more appropriate term.
No, that is what it is.
But we understand. We understand. So thank you for the comment. Any further comments, Jake, in this Zoom room?
I have sent another unmute request out to the Zoom room floor. If you'd like to make a comment, please unmute and state your first and last name.
Okay, that looks to be the end of our public comment. Let's bring it back to the board. Any further comments before we go ahead and close up this item? Ms. Dow, thank you so much for your enthusiasm and your passion for the lake. I don't know if I can ask you to be more excited about what you do, but I've seen your videos and you're always excited about what you do. So thank you for caring for what we think as one of our most cherished treasure, our lake. It does drive our economy, and it does provide for a lot of respite for many reasons.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me
Yeah,
today.
I would like to make one last comment too. Angela has also started attending the Risk Reduction Authority meetings, because as we talk about fire and rehabilitation, that is, also goes right into what we're talking about with fire prevention and, aftermath here locally, which affects our water bodies. So appreciate that, her attendance there. So thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next item, which is our 6.7 item, consideration of the Lake County Fish and Wildlife Advisory Committee's recommendation to support the 33rd annual Clear Lake Team Bass Tournament in the amount of $2,000. And it says clerk of the board, Ms. Hutchinson, who is leading this conversation.
I assume Greg Justi is here. He was in the
He is
room
here.
earlier, and I think it is coming from him.
Mr. Justi, are you with us?
I am with you, but I can't access my video. It's been turned off by the host.
If we can go ahead and turn him on, please, Jake.
Got it?
He is Greg and not Greg Justi.
I signed in with my full name. Hello, everyone. Greg Justi, Chair of the Lake County Fish and Wildlife Advisory Committee. I always enjoy following Angela because she sets the bar so high in her professionalism and her enthusiasm that it always makes me bring my A game. And I certainly echo all of the accolades that everybody shared about her performance and what she's done for that program. It truly is amazing. Supervisor Paiska, it's nice to meet you. Hopefully someday we can at least do a fist pump or something in person. For your benefit and for the benefit of all of the supervisors, because I haven't come before you in a while, very briefly, the role of the Lake County Fish and Wildlife Advisory Committee, it's one of your standing committees, and our bylaws say that we are to provide advice to the board on conservation, education, and promotion of Lake County natural resources. One of our primary functions is to give you advice on how to disperse monies that are collected by Fish and Game fines. So the way it works, if a warden issues a citation and the courts award a fine, a percentage of that fine is given to the county and deposited in the Fish and Wildlife account. The only way the county can receive those funds is to have a Fish and Wildlife committee or commission. And so this just recently, we were approached by the Lake County Chamber of Commerce because of 2020 being what it is and nothing being normal. They were struggling to get some sponsorships for their annual Lake County bass tournament. This is the 33rd year that this tournament has been put on. It's a highly anticipated event. It's a fun event. A lot of local anglers like myself participated. We bring a lot of people from the outside come in. And so there's been a request to us to support the annual Chamber of Commerce bass tournament in the terms of $2,000. We had a Zoom meeting here a week and a half ago with the committee. We discussed it. It certainly fits within our bylaws. It certainly fits within what we as a committee believe people should be involved with the lake. And so our recommendation on a unanimous vote was to suggest to the board that $2,000 be allocated to the Lake County Chamber in support of the annual bass tournament. And that's my presentation to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Justi. Any comments or questions from the board? So I have a question. What does your budget look like that the $2,000 will be coming out of, and what remains after the $2,000? And also, if you can provide some more further information about the Clear Lake Team Bass Tournament as to how that, what is the resulting benefit to the community with the fundraiser being done by the Chamber?
Well, your eyes are going to light up when I tell you about our budget. So we're always looking for projects. And we cast a broad net. We've supported in the past, we've supported the local fish and wildlife wardens in getting some of their equipment needs met. We've worked with local schools. Currently, our budget, we have just over $40,000 sitting in the account. I work, the county administrator for the advisory committee is the Ag Commissioner, Steve Haycheck. So he always presents our budget as part of his agriculture department budget. Steve and I have always allocated about half of the total amount on an annual basis, and we hold what we say half of it in reserve, though it's always there if we need it. But just to have a working budget of about $20,000 a year. So this $2,000, do the math, there's still going to be a lot of money sitting there. And as I said, we're always looking for more projects. In fact, a really good project, I'm not going to speak to it, but came across my phone as I was waiting my turn to get on the docket today. Melissa Fulton's on. She'd be a good one to get to the specifics of what it's going to be. But it's 100% payback tournament. So the entry fees, and it's nominal. It's $100 a boater. There's 2 boaters per boat, so it's $200. So all of the entry fees go back into the awards, into cash awards for the top prizes, and those are the top weights. And each boat is allowed to weigh 5 fish a day. The heaviest total combined weight of the 2-day total of 10 pounds is how the winner is determined. And this lake is incredible. I mean, if you go to Shasta, if you go to Berryessa, you catch 5 fish, you'd be happy if you get 10 pounds total weight of 5 fish. Anymore, in Clear Lake, if you want to be competitive, you better have a day where your 5 fish weigh 30 pounds. That's a 6-pound average. I mean, that's why there's the draw that Angela talked about, and all of those folks coming in here to fish this lake. I mean, it is a bucket list destination for a serious bass angler. And so maybe, in the past, there's been as many as 200 boats. That money is recycled back to the anglers as prize money, and local sponsors, whether it's been Vista Casino. This year, I understand it's being held at the Skylark. In the past, they've had sponsors for a dinner on Saturday night. But it does bring a lot of outside anglers into the county because of its light atmosphere, if you will. It's a fun tournament. People enjoy it. And I think, for the local economy, it's just one more weekend where people know they're coming to support a county-based event, and not some outside program director who's doing it for financial gain. This is really to generate interest for local businesses and local people.
Real quick, the date of the tournament?
I think it's the 26th. It's this month. It's coming up. Hang on. I think it's the weekend after next, if I'm not mistaken.
I see.
Yeah, the 20th and 21st. March 20th and 21st of this month.
Okay. And I see that Supervisor Simon unmuted his mic. Did you have something you wish to say?
No, not at this time.
Okay. And Ms. Fulton, I know that Mr. Giusti directed to you. This is a fundraiser, I'm assuming, based on the fact that the Chamber of Commerce is putting this together. What are the benefits in the long run? What is it, just bringing people here so they can shop at our local area, or is there some benefit to the chamber? Can you explain a little further? Oh, you can't talk. Let me unmute you. There we go.
Thank you. Considering some of my comments during various Board of Supervisors meetings, I can understand why you kept me muted, but since Craig referred to me, I have to tell you that I have a passion for this tournament, not quite as strong as Angela's, but maybe close. This tournament originated 33 years ago, and it was originated by local business people to educate the local business community on the value of bass tournaments. It was known as the Record B. Bruno's Bass Tournament. That's where it started. And over the years, the Chamber's been involved in one way or another. And then about 6 or 7 years ago, the Holder Ford had run the tournament for 3 or 4 years, and that agency was sold, and then it was, there were questions about whether or not the tournament would continue. We wanted to continue it, so we stepped in and partnered for a few years until this year with Canocti Vista Casino. Last year we had to cancel due to the pandemic, and so we had, Greg spoke to the passion that people have for this tournament, and that is very true. Although it's a homegrown tournament, I've been taking a look at the ratio of local people who participate in this compared to those who come from well outside of the county. And basically we have in excess of 80 to 85% of the people come from well outside of Lake County. Now, it isn't just for these 3 days or 4 days of the tournament. We have a lot of these fishermen who come from a long way away who pre-fish because they want to find that honey hole, as the fishermen call it, and hope that it's going to be there when they come back for the tournament. So last year when we canceled, we sent out the word and asked if there were any of the teams that had registered who wanted to roll their entry fee over. And we had 18 teams who said, keep our money. We love this tournament. We'll be back. And those are words that we hear every year at the weigh-in. We love this tournament. It's so much fun. We have a great time. We'll see you next year. So in comparing our registration this year to last year at the same time, because this is just about the time we canceled last year's tournament, we have over 70 teams registered already. And what our experience is that the final day for registration is the Friday of tournament weekend, this year being March 19th. And we generally have somewhere around 40 teams that register that day. And one of the reasons is because everybody who registers gets a blast off number, we call it, and they blast off on Saturday morning in that order. Well, Sunday, it's the reverse order. So we've got a lot of people who want to go out first on Sunday and see if they can bag the big fish. Greg's right, we pay 100% of the entry fees back, and we generally pay what we call 1 in 20 entries. So last year we actually paid 21 teams prize money, and the 21st team got their entry fee back. So we just calculated on Friday evening once we know how many people have registered. In addition, the team that brings in the biggest fish each day gets $1,000 to split between the team. Local businesses do support this so that we can pay for those expenses. And Bruno, you mentioned something about it being a fundraiser. I try to make it, and my board of directors is very happy if I don't make it a fund loser, because sometimes it's been tough coming up with the sponsor dollars to pay for the awards and all of the things that you have to do to make this tournament happen. And this year, we are hoping to bring back providing a free dinner to the participants on Saturday evening if we're successful in our fundraising. Now, there are family members who come or people from the community or sponsors. If in fact we put together the dinner, they will have to pay because we can't afford to give the dinner to the participants and everyone else. But it is a well-loved tournament, and our top team, if we get the entries we believe we will get, we'll start with a $5,000 prize. So we have teams coming from Idaho, Arizona, Oregon, and as far away as San Diego, California. So those are people already registered. So it benefits the local community. It certainly benefits all of the businesses, which of course goes to the city and the county. And we actually have people who don't stay in Lakeport, so there are other areas that are benefiting, not just this central Lakeport area. And I would be happy, oh, and by the way, in reference to the Quagga Mussel program, our entry form right on the front says, don't forget current Quagga Mussel stickers are required. So we promote that with this tournament, as we do with the Seaplane Splash In, which we hope to bring back again this year. It too was canceled that year. So I'm open for any questions if I have failed to answer any that are pending.
Appreciate your comments and your response to my questions, Ms. Fulton. Any further comments or questions from board members? Okay. I will say, probably not the most popular statement I'll make all day, but it's, I'm feeling conflicted that we just left one presentation to say we want to provide more, and then doing another presentation where we're providing something towards those that we just talked about raising their fees for Quagga Mussel stickers on it. And so I'm a little conflicted on it, so I need to think a little bit about it. And while I do that, let's go ahead and open it up for the public. Jake, let's go ahead and open it up for public comment.
All right, I have sent an unmute request out to the Zoom room floor. If you'd like to make a comment, please unmute and state your first and last name.
Okay, there doesn't seem to be any public comment on this. Any comments or questions from the board or action?
Ready to make a motion?
I do have one comment, Mr. Chair, obviously to Greg and also, well, Melissa, on the program, obviously. You know, still making sure that, you know, our protocols, you know, with masking and other issues when they need to do that are doing, especially at the awards banquet and the dinner, you know, but ultimately a much better conversation this year than last year. So in support of this as it moves forward. So I'm glad that we're at least able to have these conversations about reopening our complete economy. I know it's just starting. But this is a good conversation to be having. But I did need to say that just making sure those protocols are in place and everybody enjoying the tournament understands that.
Yes, Ms. Fulton.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up, Supervisor Simon. Last June, when I was approached by some tournaments that were canceled out of Conocta Vista Casino, we spoke to and addressed the pandemic protocols for fishing tournaments. And those were run by Dr. Pace as long ago as last June. And this tournament will be adhering to those same protocols.
I think as a whole, all of our fishing tournaments have done a really good job of meeting those protocols. They don't want to get stopped. They want to continue. Just wanted to put out there some of my reasons for my upcoming vote since action was going to be taken. I feel we need to have Steve Hajek here to also, since he is the head of the Fish and Wildlife, the supervisor of that committee, just to make sure budget-wise that everything is on the go. I trust that Mr. Giusti is giving us the right information, but at the same time, not having Steve Hajek here, I'm a little not concerned, but I prefer having him here to make that kind of decision. And I also don't know that we have a policy on who we can say yes to and who we can't say yes to for these types of things. And so I feel like we're going to get more requests like these, not that they're bad, but that it'd be better if we had a protocol and a criteria to meet. So those are some of my concerns as we move forward. And Mr. Giusti.
Yes, sir. Well, as a standing committee of your board and as appointed members of your board, you know, we do have a set of bylaws that this board approved. The latest edition was approved a few years ago. It is our responsibility to give you the kind of input I just gave you about, you know, whether or not this idea to support the tournament has merit. And as chair, I'm authorized to tell you that the committee voted unanimously to advise the board that this proposal has merit. So, I mean, you're certainly free to have Mr. Haycheck come in, but he was part of the discussion, and the budget amount I gave you, we discussed the budget at our last Zoom meeting, as I said, about a week and a half ago.
Appreciate the comments.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Supervisor Pyska?
Well, I think this is a great investment. It's a nominal investment in our economy as we recover from last spring. But is this a usual request, or what are the other requests that would come from this advisory committee?
Well, I've never had a usual request. As I said, projects are brought to us and discussed. Some of the most recent projects that we supported is your Water Resources Department came to us and requested money to have storm drain alert medals placed at storm drains throughout the county and municipalities that say, no dumping, drains to creek or drains to lake. That was one example. Another example is we've had the wardens who work in Lake County come to us. They needed some equipment. One was a motorized deer decoy to be used to catch people spotlighting and poaching deer at night. In past, we've actually we've advised the board to purchase safety equipment for wardens. Just trying to go off the top of my head here. So there's no running usual kind of project that this committee may come to you. As I said, we're always out looking for projects. You recently appointed a couple of new members to our committee. One is a school teacher from Upper Lake, Chris Decker. I'm hoping to talk to Chris about some ways of getting high school kids involved in natural resource projects that I may come before you someday and request support or use of this money. So this is the first time this committee has ever come to you asking to support this particular project. We may never do it again. There's no way of knowing. As I said, we're out trying to drum up business and to use this money that otherwise is just sitting there.
Well, thanks for answering that. That was going to be my follow-up question. Does the chamber intend to ask for this each year, or is this just a one-time in response to what we've been through this year?
That's not for me to answer. I'm waiting for Melissa.
I am not going to commit to not requesting a similar sponsorship next year. So I can't actually say yes or no at this point. We know, when I say we, the chamber knows the monetary benefit to the county of Lake with fishing tournaments. It's always a revenue driver for the entire county, and they don't all come to Lakeport. There are several going out of Redbud. And when Canocti Harbor Resort opens this coming summer, I know for a fact that Russ Hamill has been approached by several of the tournaments, so they'll be going out of there. And I understand Terry Knight was in our office last week and said there were a tremendous number of boats parked at Lakeport, and he couldn't believe the out-of-state license plates. So what we're asking here is to support an industry that is bringing literally millions of dollars into the county every single year. So our goal as a Chamber of Commerce is to promote the economy and support business. So this is one of the ways that we do that, because we know these fishermen, you know, if we get 132 boats this year, which is what we had in 2019, that's close to 200 or more people from out of the county coming here and spending their money for a minimum of 3 to 4 days. So I think that the benefit to the county is more than sufficient for support for this particular tournament, because that money goes through our economy 4 to 7 times based on where it is, when it is spent here. That's not me talking, that's the economist that I listen to.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions or action?
I'm ready to move forward. Mr. Tuesday, as the chair of the advisory committee, I want to thank you guys for working through the process and bringing this up. Since I've been on the board, I think the last thing I remember supporting was the large fish tank at the fairground, right? We did something like that, I think, last year or 2 years ago.
A couple
So
years ago, yes.
that. I know these are volunteer advisory committees, and I appreciate the work you guys do in bringing that to us. So as chair, respect that, and thank you very much. So I'm ready to move forward with the vote here today.
Let's go.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Lake County Fish and Wildlife Advisory Committee recommendations to provide and support to the 33rd Annual Clear Lake Team Bass Tournament in the amount of $2,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Johanna, if we can please have a roll call.
Okay, Supervisor Simon.
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall.
Yes.
Supervisor Scott.
Yes.
Supervisor Pyska.
Yes.
And Supervisor Sabatier.
Nay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, everybody. As always, it's a pleasure to come and say a quick hi, and thank you for all you do. Personally, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to item 7.2, consideration of special meeting date change from March 30th, 2021 to the board's annual meeting calendar. CAO Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I put this agenda item on at your request because I understand there's interest among your board in changing the special meeting date from March 30th, 2021 to another meeting date. As you recall, that's the date of your annual governance workshop with both your board and department heads. And the dates that I have heard proposed, and it could be any date, of course, but the dates I've heard are April 8th or April 9th. My recommendation among those two would be April 9th because there is a CSAC webinar on the 8th that I think several of you may be attending, but it can also be any date you choose.
Supervisor Scott?
I have a conflict on the 9th, as I've already committed myself for full day interviews of the new superintendent of Lakeport Unified School District.
Okay, any further comments or questions from the board? So all I can say is that the date needs to not be too far away for the fact that this governance workshop is meant to help provide direction and guidance for goal setting for our departments when creating their budget. And so waiting too long puts a little bit of an extra burden onto our directors to get those things done in time. Granted, they don't have to have the goals necessarily done at the same time as the budget itself, but in my opinion, it helps to have goals when creating a budget.
Mr. Chair, might I propose April 1st or April 2nd? Either of those?
I can go for either one of those.
That was my suggestion, is going to be my suggestion as well. And I'm.
Anybody else have a conflict or a preference?
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong dates. I'm not available.
Oh, okay, so then we need to go the week after. Okay, and so then keeping to what the chairman is saying about needing to get on with it, we could look at the 14th, 15th, or 16th of April.
And the 14th is not going to be possible for at least 2 supervisors due to LTA APC.
15th or 16th then?
Good with the 15th or 16th?
The 16th.
16th is good for you?
16th works well for me too.
16th works for me.
Okay, looks like you've got your date.
Okay, and so your board does need to take action by motion to change it from the 30th to the 16th?
Okay. So before we do that, let's go ahead and open it up to the public about the change of our special meeting from March 30th to April 16th. Jake, let's go ahead and open up the Zoom room.
All right, I've sent a unmute request out to the Zoom room floor. If you'd like to make a comment, please unmute and state your first and last name.
And the meeting will be public. It'll just be a workshop, not a regular Board of Supervisors meeting. So seeing no comment from the public, let's go ahead and bring it back for action or further deliberation.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to move our special meeting date to April 16th for the board's annual meeting calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Johanna, roll call, please.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott.
You're muted. Still didn't hear you.
Aye.
There you go.
Okay, thanks. Supervisor Pyska
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 7.3, consideration of request to extend the use of County Juvenile Hall facility for a temporary support shelter targeting Lake County's chronically homeless population through June 30th, 2021.
Supervisor Sabatier, can you remove me from this room? I would like to recuse myself from this item.
Jake, you have my approval to remove Supervisor Scott temporarily. If we could put her in a breakout room, it'll be easier than having to call her and let her know to come back.
All right, I am getting that room set up right here.
We'll come get you.
Thank you.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't something I said.
Yes, Scott has left the room.
Director Metcalf, the floor is yours for your item.
Yes. Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Todd Metcalf. I'm the director of the Lake County Behavioral Services Department. What you have here before you today is a request to extend the use of Old Juvenile Hall for COVID-19 homeless shelter operations. I recently met with the county's Space Use Committee, and they are in support of this request. I want to add that COVID-19 and housing continuum of care funding continue to become available, allowing Elijah House, which you know we are contracting with to run the shelter. So it affords them the ability to keep these homeless shelter operations going at Old Juvenile Hall. This board approved my last extension request, which goes through March 31 of this year. And since funding is still allowing continued operations there, I would like to extend the use of this facility for COVID-19 homeless shelter. So therefore, I'm requesting board approval to extend the use of Old Juvenile Hall for a temporary support shelter targeting our chronically homeless population now through June 30th of 2021.
All right. Thank you very much. I see that we have Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Diaz here with us as well. Do you have any words to complete the presentation?
Yeah, I would just add that we're, extremely grateful for the opportunity to be able to serve Lake County there at the Juvenile Hall facility. We have been able to secure funding, as Todd mentioned, through the last grant that will keep us going there for at least 2 months. We have an interview tomorrow for the next round of funding that would secure approximately 28 weeks of operations there at the shelter as well at a minimum. So that looks very promising. Of course, we don't want to count that until it happens later on in the month. We should know whether or not we see that funding. But we have been able to drastically reduce expenses there at the shelter, which is allowing us to operate for a longer period of time on less money now that we've been set up and kind of operating there for a little while. So we're still having a lot of success there in not only bringing in some new residents, but also getting some transitioned out into permanent housing and employment and things along those lines as well. So it's been a great collaboration between us and the county and local partners, and we feel it's been a great success for Lake County.
Awesome. Great news. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Anything to add, Mr. Diaz?
I'd just like to say I want to thank the support of all you supervisors there for everything that you guys have done to help us get to this facility and to help with the support, and also Todd Metcalf for everything he's done to help with the funding and stuff that we've gotten. I just want to say it's been great, and again, it's been great to be able to help support the homeless community and everything that we do.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from supervisors? Yes, Supervisor.
I would just comment, sorry about that, Jessica. I would just comment from this did come to the Space Committee, as was commented earlier, you know, this is a recommendation I know we're bringing to the board in behalf of Todd, and also there's, you know, obviously there's great community thing that's happening there. So it was brought to the Space Committee. We did have a meeting on it, and it seems like something we should move forward as a recommendation. So.
Thank you, Supervisor Simon. Supervisor Peiska?
I've had the ability, or I've had the opportunity to tour the space with Gary and John and Supervisor Scott, and it's incredible what's happening there, and I'm supportive for this program to continue as long as we can.
Thank you. Supervisor Crandall?
I'm ready to move forward.
Okay. Well, I remember touring Juvenile Hall when it was just an empty building, and I believe it started with Director Metcalf and Director Scott. And we had a vision that this was possible to use and that it would be a great fit as sort of a dormitory style facility. I know when we brought Mr. Diaz there with us, he was like a little kid in a candy store. This is exactly what he wanted to see, especially when you went into the storage room with all the sneakers and all the clothing and all the blankets and everything else that you wish you had over at the other Record B building. So I'm happy to see that this has been happening. I'm happy to hear about some folks transitioning over and gaining employment, gaining housing. That's exactly the kinds of programs that we need to really truly fix the problem. Sheltering is one part, but actually transitioning over to some form of independence, whether complete independence or partial, is exactly the kind of progress that we should be looking for. Do you happen to have any numbers with you on the amount of people that you've helped transition into housing, the amount of people that you've helped transition into employment? I know I'm putting you on the spot, and I didn't ask of this before the meeting today, but just kind of curious if you have some routed numbers for us.
Well, I know, I mean, the average census is about 30 participants, more men than women, but I would look to Gary or John. I mean, if you could chime in on you know, elaborate a little bit more on where those folks are going. But I mean, you know, business is booming. I'll say that.
Yeah, I believe Gary has some numbers compiled, a little more current numbers that we used for our last rant. Gary, do you have those available?
I'm looking here. Last minute, I was pulling up some numbers. I know we've served, some of these are older numbers. We've had like around 134 people come through this shelter. I believe we've housed over 34 people. I know for jobs, let's see. Well, I mean, I without even knowing numbers, I could tell you we've helped at least over 10 people get jobs. Right now, we have at least 4 people that go every morning, leave the shelter and go to a job. Yeah, it's great. And we've had other people go to other programs. I have people there. We're helping get out to actually families out of the area, you know, out of state. We're doing a lot of stuff. We just hired on a new housing navigator, our case manager. John, you can maybe tell them about the new grant that we had with our program and.
Yeah, so I just add to that. I think it was 11 people we got to employment, and
yeah.
We have we brought our job developer up from Butte County. She's coming up there. We're serving about 10 hours a week, working with clients now to try and help that. We recently received the housing navigation grant that we've been able to really utilize that to get people into housing, and then recently received as well the CASH grant that you guys, I believe, will be seeing pretty soon, be coming before you for a contract approval. But that's really going to allow us as well to be able to transition people into housing and to be able to have case management that's working with those clients as well to get them out of a transitional living situation into more permanent situations. So our goal is to provide the complete cycle of emergency, transitional, rapid rehousing, and in permanent supportive housing situations for the clients. And so to be able to walk them through that process from crisis when they come into the shelter into a permanent housing situation, and to get them stable with employment and funding and the whole 9 yards. So that is absolutely our goal.
Awesome. And since you had to collect all those points of data for your grant applications, would it be possible for you to submit those numbers to the board, just so that we could be aware of the exact progress and successes that Juvenile Hall Elijah House has had? I personally think that COVID-19 in some ways has created absolute burdens and hardships, and in some other ways it's created some blessings, such as the 2 opening of shelters that we didn't have before on a more permanent basis, and that's Hope Center and that's Elijah House as well. So thank you very much for all your work, and the fact that you want to continue doing this service here in Lake County. I appreciate that too. So
yeah, and that's why, as the funding comes available, I mean, it's a horrible word to use, but I mean, we've had to cobble together monies to keep this thing going. But I, in my wildest dreams, had no idea that this facility would still be in operation almost a year after we started it. So, we're getting creative with funding, and I thank, John and Gary at Elijah House for helping us keep this thing going, because this has been huge. I never thought that it would be going on this long, and I'm just thrilled that it is, and we're going to keep plugging away.
And thank you.
So I was just going to respond that, yeah, we can get those numbers to you. We'll shoot those over to you so that you guys can take a look at where we're at as soon as our case manager is back in office tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Supervisor Crandall?
Yeah, I will say something. There's a gentleman that was homeless in Lucerne. Last week I gave him a ride from Lucerne to Clear Lake. He's now in the hotel. He's homeless. He had to stay at the Elijah House. And I usually look towards empirical knowledge. I mean, we can always look at reports from the entity or from, other folks. But when it comes to the people that are on the streets and actually in that realm, and they have good things to say, then something's going right as well. So the gentleman had stated that he from going to Elijah House got him to his veterans benefits, got him to where he's at now, and he's not on the street of Lucerne, and that helps my district. So just giving you that insight.
That's good to know.
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor Crandall. You might be pleased to know too, we're working on the project there now, where we're hoping to not just have some housing there, but a resource center and hopefully an outreach team in the Lucerne area that would be able to help mitigate some of the occurrences of businesses dealing with homeless in the community, so that we can engage them and hopefully get them into emergency shelter housing along the process. So,
yep.
Thank you.
It'd be good to get them at the next LATH meeting to share that.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen, for making our vision come true and continuing to serve our community. Jake, let's go ahead and open up the Zoom room and see if there's any public comments on this. Or did I already do that? I don't think I did that.
No, I don't think so. All right, I've sent an unmute request out to the Zoom room floor. If you'd like to make a comment, please unmute and state your first and last name.
All right, hearing none, let's go ahead and bring it back to the board for action. Or deliberation.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we extend the use of the County Juvenile Hall facility for temporary support shelter targeting Lake County's chronically homeless population through June 30th, 2021.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second from Supervisor Crandall. Johanna, if we can please have a roll call.
Okay, Supervisor Simon.
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall.
Yes.
Supervisor Pyska.
Yes.
And Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries. Thank you again, gentlemen, for all your hard work. And Jake, if we can please get Supervisor Scott back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, John, Gary. You guys are doing great work.
There she is, like magic. All right, let's go ahead and move on to item 7.4, consideration of appointment to the Lake Pillsbury Fire Protection District Board. And in front of us, we have one attachment from Paul Rooney. And any comments or questions about the appointment? Seeing none, Jake, let's open up the Zoom room and see if anyone has any comments on item 7.4 for the Lake Pillsbury Fire District appointment.
All right, I've sent an unmute request out to the Zoom room floor. If you'd like to make a comment, please unmute and state your first and last name.
Okay, and hearing none, let's bring it back to the board for action.
Chair, I move to appoint Paul Rooney to the Lake Pillsbury Fire Protection District Board of Directors.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Johanna, please roll call.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Spatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to item 7.5, consideration of the following advisory board appointments, Western Region Town Hall. We have a Linda Alexander. Any comments or questions about the appointment? Okay, hearing none. Jake, let's open up the Zoom room and see if there's any comments about 7.5 Western Region Town Hall appointment.
All right, I've sent an unmute request out to the Zoom room floor. If you'd like to make a comment, please unmute and state your first and last name.
And hearing none, let's go ahead and bring it back to the board for action.
Chair, I move to appoint Linda Alexander to the West Region Town Hall Advisory Board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Johanna, roll call, please.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. And our last item or second to last, 7.6, consideration of change order number 1 for Lamson Field Airport Runway 10-28 Asphalt Slurry Seal Rehabilitation AIP number 306-0117-019-2018, bid number 19-11 for a decrease of $15,892.89 and a revised contract amount of $989,817.11. And Director De Leon.
Good afternoon. This is a change order that addresses some extra work that the contractor had to do during construction, as well as a balancing change order to reflect the as constructed quantities of the various materials. There is a summary, if you're interested, that was attached to the board memo. A very well done project. It was much needed, and so we'll, as soon as this is completed, we'll be getting a notice of completion to your board, and I'll try to bring some pictures of before and after, and we'll finish up the project. But I'll be happy to try to answer any questions about the change order if you have any. Otherwise, we're recommending approval. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Always love seeing the decreases, and definitely very good detail on why exactly things were decreased. Any comments or questions from the board? All right, let's go ahead and open it up. Jake, the Zoom room, let's ask if there's any public comment.
All right, I've sent a unmute request out to the Zoom room floor. If you'd like to make a comment, please unmute and state your first and last name.
Hearing none, let's go ahead and bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve change order number 1 for the Lamson Field Airport Runway 10-28 Asphalt Slurry Seal Rehabilitation, AIP number 3-06-0117-019-2018, bid number 19-11 for a decrease of $15,892.89 and a revised contract amount of $989,817.11.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Johanna, roll call, please.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please thank Ms. Holberg for her work as well on getting these things done. I know it's not a simple task to deal with the FAA.
I'll do that. Thank you very much.
All right. And so the only item that is missing here is our item 7.1, our weekly calendars, and then our closed session. At this moment in time, if we don't get our calendars done within about 10 minutes, I think that we will be pushing our closed session to next week as our county council, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Grant, but you need to leave at 3:30, is that correct?
3:20.
3:20? Okay.
You want to go and start with them then, or what do you want to do?
I'm sorry, sir. I need to leave at 3:35 for the meeting with the state representatives.
Okay. So yes, let's go ahead and get started. Supervisor Simon, thank you.
Okay, just go LTA, APC tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, have the discussion about risk reduction with Jessica and also Carol. Just going to stick to Thursday, have North Coast TMS in the morning, 10:30. Probably I may attend the Big Valley Basin public meeting that evening. Then I also have the Middletown area town hall. Friday, don't have anything on the calendar at this point. We'll just work with constituents on issues that I'm working with. I have the weekend back here on Monday, have the Risk Reduction Authority at 3 p.m. and also a meeting in the morning with Carol, and then back here on the 16th.
All right, thank you very much. Supervisor Scott.
Tomorrow, all I have on my calendar is the All Children Thrive meeting at 1 o'clock. I have to call in for jury duty that evening, so I've cleared my calendar for Thursday and Friday, expecting to have to do that. And then just dealing with constituents' emails and questions, and then back here on Tuesday.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Crandall?
Yes, today, after this is agenda review, RCRC tomorrow. Thursday, I will be meeting with constituents. I'll actually be here at the courthouse taking care of constituent issues. Friday, I have a CSAC class. Monday, Army Corps from 11 to 12 for the Middle Creek Restoration. We have an ad hoc group that's going to meet with them. And then meeting with Carol at 3 p.m. and back here on Tuesday for the Board of Supervisors meeting.
Perfect. Thank you, Supervisor Crandall. Supervisor Pyska.
I have a few things to report on, but I can push it till next week because it'll still be relevant next week. Tomorrow, I have the meeting, the risk reduction JPA changes with Supervisor Simon and Carol. I have my call with Carrie West in the afternoon, cavern check-in in the evening. On Thursday, the Geothermal Advisory Committee, then the EMS meeting, then the Fire Safe Council Strategy meeting, then the Airbnb Voluntary Collection Agreement meeting, and then I'm going to watch the Big Valley Basin meeting that evening. Friday, I have a meeting with Bruce Wilson, and I think that's about the Workforce Alliance, my intro meeting with him. I have another work day on Saturday, community clearing day of hazardous vegetation and fuels reduction. My meeting with Carol Monday morning, risk reduction Monday afternoon, and then back on Tuesday.
Perfect. Thank you, Supervisor. We're probably not going to be able to do agenda review today, so most likely tomorrow morning we'll have to figure that out and just be in touch about that. Tomorrow, LTA APC with Supervisor Simon. I'll be joining the Big Valley Basin if our LTA APC meeting ends in time, which I believe it will. Meeting with some constituents later on throughout the rest of the day. And the following day, I'm meeting with a internet provider who received some funding through the FCC to help extend and deploy more infrastructure of broadband internet here. I'll be meeting with them and our Upstate California Connection Consortium group that has helped us with our internet stuff so far. Later on, I'm meeting with, actually later Thursday and Friday, meeting with 2 different companies on a project idea, a very ambitious project that I have in my mind, and just kind of want to get some ideas of what's possible, what's not. And in the meantime, later Thursday, meeting with CSAC to get an update on COVID. Monday, coming back and studying for our meeting on the 16th, and having another meeting with our illegal dumping working group, meeting with our CAO, and then another update from the state on what's happening with COVID-19, and Tuesday back here for our meeting. And that will do it for our normal agenda item. And we will leave to go to closed session where we have 3 items. 8.1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 549569D1, Center for Biological Diversity versus County of Lake. 8.2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, California Native Plant Society versus County of Lake. And then 8.3, employee disciplinary appeal, Government Code Section 54957, appeal number 2021-01. And with that, we will adjourn to closed session. And Jake, if you can please set us up.